Hello beasties and welcome or welcome back. It was brought to my attention in the previous video that Fatsapphicbro uses they them pronouns for themselves, so that's what I'll be using. Without any further ado, let's beast it.
This person says, give me a real incident where someone would have thin privilege. Help me understand. I might be wrong. Did you know that as a fat person, I am denied medical care until I lose weight?
That's not what any doctors you've seen said, whether we're talking about you or any other obese and morbidly obese individuals. What they most likely said is that the ailments that you're currently suffering from are exacerbated by the high amount of fat within your body and around your organs, and losing weight will help reduce, if not even reverse, those inflammations. The issue here is that Fatsapphicbro, like many other obese individuals, think they know better and deeply and wrongly believe that there's nothing wrong with their weight because it's genetic and runs in the family. No, chances are no one runs in your family.
We also are denied pregnancy.
No, you're not.
We are denied the medications that will help us become pregnant.
The amount of fat that a woman carries in her body has an impact on her ability to carry a pregnancy to term or at all. Too much or too little fat can make a woman barren or complicate any pregnancy that she might have, risking the life of the fetus or fetuses as well as hers. According to this scientific article published in 2010, obesity in women has impacts on fertility and fertility treatment. What I just said. Increase in BMI reduces the chances of conception in ovulatory women and affects the outcome of ovulation induction treatment. Obese women undergoing IVF require higher doses of gonadotropins, respond poorly to ovarian stimulation, and have fewer oocytes harvested. Obesity is associated with lower fertilization rates, poor quality embryos, and higher miscarriage rates. Weight loss in these women improves their reproductive outcomes. However, in order for this to be effective, it has to be gradual and sustained. The same article states, obesity is also associated with polycystic ovary syndrome, or PCOS, which is a heterogeneous condition characterized by oligo or anovulation. That's when the ovaries release no eggs during a woman's menstruation cycle. Hyperandrogenism, too much testosterone in women, menstrual irregularities, and subfertility or reduced fertility. Obesity, which occurs in 30 to 75% of women with PCOS, increases the magnitude of hormonal and metabolic dysfunction in these women. Physicians take the Hippocratic oath upon graduation, which basically say they will do what it takes to save lives. That includes requiring their female patients to lose some fat before they can participate in fertility treatment.
We are withheld medications and surgical procedures
because of the amount of fat that you carry. The more fat you have, and the higher the risk of any surgeries.
And other medical interventions are withheld from us until we lose weight.
Which is for your own good and safety.
We are denied life-saving medical procedures until we agree to a weight loss surgery.
Lies. This individual is implying that physicians are threatening them or holding them in some type of hostage situation, a quid pro quo, if you'd like.
Agree to weight loss surgery and I will treat you.
That's not what happens. You're too fat and honestly lazy, let's call it as it is, to do what it takes for your own health and safety, and thought it best to just blame the physicians and the entire world for your own poor decisions and poor behaviors. Aww, poor you. No.
Doctors will do weight loss surgery on us, but they will not do the surgeries that we actually need.
Lies.
It is always assumed that my diet is terrible or that my lifestyle is terrible.
Because they are.
Doctors don't ask me about what I eat. They just start lecturing me about what I should not be eating without ever asking.
Because someone as big as you are is the result of poor diet and lifestyle choices. And before you come at me with, I eat salads only, know that the way you make that salad matters. And even if you only eat the best quality food, too much of it than you need will still fatten you. A pound of feathers is still equal to a pound of lead when placed on a scale.
I've gone to an orthopedic doctor for a consult because I had microfractures in my feet that were diagnosed via an x-ray, and he told me he had never heard of microfractures.
Well, that's another lie. The more fat that you carry and the higher your risk for foot stress fractures, also called microfractures. According to this article by the Foot and Ankle Group, foot stress fractures are very tiny cracks in your bones and can form almost anywhere, from your toes to your heel. They often occur when foot muscles can no longer withstand the impact of high pressure or shock, an issue faced by more than just runners. Obese individuals have increased risk of getting fractures too. For those carrying excessive pounds, the extra load of their weight will increase the intensity of impact, more easily fracturing the bone.
He did not know what microfractures were. This is a bone specialist, mind you, and then proceeded to ask me what my weight loss plan is.
Because losing weight will reduce your chances of getting more foot stress fractures, allowing your feet to support less weight, which will be beneficial for them and you.
There have been countless stories in my comments of people who are unintentionally losing rapid amounts of weight because of some sort of illness, and instead of a doctor trying to figure out what is wrong with them, they just congratulate them on their weight loss.
Another lie. Any physicians will ask you about your weight history regardless of whether you're obese, morbidly obese or not. Knowing that history helps them assist you better, and through that screening, they could also determine whether they need to refer you to a specialist or not. It is what ethical physicians do.
Most chairs aren't accessible to a lot of fat people.
Make your own. The world doesn't need to cater to your poor lifestyle choices.
And so often if we go places, if there's not a chair that can hold us, we have to just stand or sit on the floor.
Whose fault is it but yours? The world has stretched to accommodate obese individuals. If you decide to be outside the safety limits, blame yourself.
When I post videos of myself eating, I get multiple troll comments. In fact, a lot of us fat people on the internet, even if we're not talking about being fat, even if we're not eating, even if we're not doing anything like that, we get constant hate comments, including death threats.
Okay, we need to address this. The internet is a wide place where many people feel empowered to do what they want. Humans are emotional beings and many don't have theirs in check. So when you feed the trolls, guess what happens? You inviting more to you. And you, my friend, are feeding them a lot with your message. So, of course, they're going to keep coming at you. This is by no means to say that I condone that behavior, because I don't. But you have to be honest with yourself. Claiming that there is nothing wrong with being obese and not taking responsibility for your actions will bring more hatred your way. Heck, I get hatred for debunking fat acceptance bullshit with scientific facts. This is the internet. No one wants to deal with that, but we are only responsible for what we say and do. If the internet bothers you, then take yourself off it. People will be more tolerant with an obese individual eating sometimes. Keyword sometimes. But at the same time, it's showing that they're making efforts for a better health than an obese individual sitting around yapping that being obese is healthy and doing everything to gain more weight. This is just how it is. The same applies for alcoholics, drug addicts, etc. Respect is earned, so start by respecting your own life and see the magic happen.
Thin people get to go to the doctor and be listened to.
Physicians listen to obese patients that also listen to them. You go to the doctor to get help, not to tell them how to do their job. If you know more than them, why do you bother going to them in the first place? Heal yourself, since you clearly know best.
Thin people get to eat without being harassed.
Are you sure about that?
Thin people get to exist without being told they're disgusting and grotesque.
You can be thin and at the same time be disgusting and grotesque. Your character and sometimes actions determine whether others find you disgusting or not. Focus on being a better person, and what you can't control, move your focus from it.
This commenter says, fun fact, the cadavers they practice on will never be fat people because being obese disqualifies the body from being donated to science.
This comment as it stands is not true. This is the same website that they put in their video, and as you can see, the most common conditions for ineligibility include, but are not limited to, low or high body weight, excessive trauma excluding recent extensive unhealed surgery or autopsy, signs of decompositions, history of communicable disease such as Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, hepatitis, HIV, or tuberculosis. From the Mayo Clinic website, the body is not acceptable for anatomical study, extremely emaciated or extremely obese. It is actually better stated on the Mayo Clinic's website as stated that way. The emphasis is put on the fact that the body must be in a somewhat healthy condition before being donated. The Washington State University, like few other websites that I saw, explicitly show BMI for rejection, excessive obesity or emaciation, body mass index above 35 or below 18. When you look at the chart, you can see that obese individuals can donate their bodies to science. At a BMI of 35, you're very obese. This article published on NBC News website elaborates on the requirements for body donation to science. To be frank, bodies taller than about 6'4" or heavier than about 300 pounds simply don't fit on the trays that are sometimes stacked 6 feet high in the coolers where the deceased are kept. Experts say it can be difficult for technicians to handle huge corpses, which have to be lifted and transferred frequently, often by slim technicians or students. This article on the Vice website says most medical school tables are not large enough to accommodate a human being larger than 200 pounds or longer than 6 feet tall. Donated bodies also have to be moved by students and or researchers, and heavier bodies are harder to move, posing injury risk. Dissection is also made more difficult when a cadaver carries more fat. All the sources I'm citing are in the description, so feel free to check them out. But to come back to Fatsapphicbro, they're not being honest and present information in a way that always show them as a victim. You can't donate your body to science if your body is not healthy. From the previous video, they said they're 440 pounds. If they lose 240 pounds of that and keep it till they die, they might qualify for body donation to science. I don't know how tall they are, but if I go by the fact that they went from Jessica to Jaden, they're probably around 5'6" at most, which 200 pounds would still make them obese.
So the reason we all are forced to lose weight and are discriminated against are because doctors refuse to learn on fat bodies.
The level of lies this individual is at is astonishing. You know, sometimes I wish I could lie and keep a straight face like them. Like, are you serious for real?
But sure, medical fat phobia totally doesn't exist, right?
Medical fat phobia is not a thing. Lose some weight.
This person says, be careful, trolls are going to use these diagnoses to try and prove how bad being fat is, which is total bullshit.
Birds of feather flock together.
Hypertension is incredibly genetic.
Science has linked some genes to hypertension, yes, but this doesn't mean that just because something runs in the family, everybody in that family is going to get it. According to this article from Medical News Today, it seems that genes play a role in hypertension and family members can pass these genetic traits from one generation to the next. However, genes are only part of the reason for hereditary hypertension. Another factor is that people who live in common environments may eat the same non-nutritious diet or share habits such as smoking or drinking excessive alcohol. Along with genetics, these factors increase the likelihood of developing hypertension. You have hypertension because of your poor lifestyle choices and living conditions.
Also, I have extremely a lot of stress. I have severe CPTSD from years of trauma.
You've obviously not healed those issues, hence why you still use them as excuses for yourself and the poor choices that you make.
And I also have chronic illnesses. I'm a multiply marginalized person.
Victim mentality.
I have a lot of stressors. There is no way that I could ever get a normal blood pressure without medication help because my stress levels are so high.
Your stress levels are high because you want them to be. Eating a balanced diet and exercising regularly will help you reduce stress.
And this is also sort of genetic because this is how my mom and dad were too. They are just like very stressed, high stress individuals. And so, yeah, same thing with hypothyroidism. It is incredibly genetic.
Yeah, same thing. Just because it runs in the family doesn't mean you will have it automatically. The main way to diagnose this hypothyroidism is through blood work, which is performed at the doctors by physicians and labs. If all doctors are fatphobic and denied this individual treatment and diagnosis of any illness that they have, how do they know? Looking up symptoms on the internet that could cause obesity doesn't mean you have those ailments.
Polycystic ovary syndrome, PCOS, and diabetes. So PCOS causes insulin resistance. Insulin resistance can cause type 2 diabetes. Type 2 diabetes is also incredibly genetic. The fact that I cured my diabetes.
This was them debunking themselves.
And in fact, hypertension can cause diabetes and the other way around. All of these things are very comorbid. It has nothing to do with weight.
All those conditions that they name have everything to do with weight. A balanced diet and regular exercising will help manage those conditions better and even reverse some. They, like everybody in the fat acceptance movement, are just lazy to do the work for their own selves.
The next one is NASH. It is non-alcoholic fatty liver. Now, that can be caused by untreated type 2 diabetes. It can be caused by having polycystic ovarian syndrome.
According to Mayo Clinic, NAFLD and NASH are both linked to the following: overweight or obesity, insulin resistance in which your cells don't take up sugar in response to hormone insulin, high blood sugar, indicating pre-diabetes or type 2 diabetes, high levels of fat, particularly triglycerides in the blood. Now, the risks for NAFLD include high cholesterol, high level of triglycerides in the blood, metabolic syndrome, obesity, particularly when fat is concentrated in the abdomen, polycystic ovary syndrome, sleep apnea, type 2 diabetes, underactive thyroid, underactive pituitary gland. And risk factors doesn't mean cause, but that having any of those conditions raises your risk of developing a certain illness, in this case, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease or NAFLD. Also, keep in mind that NAFLD is not NASH, which they seem to use interchangeably. NASH, which stands for non-alcoholic steatohepatitis, is a more aggressive form of fatty liver disease that can be caused by NAFLD. This is also an indication that this individual is lying about having this disease because they would know the differences between these two. illnesses. It's human nature to research everything possible about any illnesses that we are diagnosed with and come to know the differences between similar illnesses and those ones. You know, like the differences between disordered eating and eating disorders, depression and anxiety, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease and non-alcoholic steatohepatitis, and so on.
The herniated disc. My father had degenerative disc disease, so there is a chance that I have degenerative disc disease, and there is a lot of research about spinal health and how spinal health can be genetic.
Keywords: can be. So, science hasn't proven that it is genetic yet they're here telling people it is. A lot of those illnesses that Fatsapphicbro is claiming to have not yet been linked to genetics. PCOS, for instance, can run in the family, however, no gene has been linked to it yet. Also, as stated already, having some illnesses in the family doesn't mean you will develop them too. Most of these illnesses, hypertension, type 2 diabetes, hypothyroidism, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, have that same cure: a balanced diet and regular exercising. I find it interesting that someone who supposedly is treated by a naturopathic physician pushes back so hard against the most natural remedies, which are a balanced diet and regular exercising. Thanks for watching, beasties. Trend mean.